The soft glow of the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink as Penelope hurried down the crowded city street. Her heels clicked rhythmically against the pavement, matching the quickened pace of her heart. She was late again for her evening shift at the quaint bookstore nestled in the heart of the bustling metropolis. It wasn't like her to be tardy, but lately her mind had been elsewhere, distracted by the looming deadline of her master's thesis and the constant pressure to make ends meet in this unforgiving city. As she rounded the corner, her breath caught in her throat. There, just a few feet away, stood Benjamin, the handsome stranger she had been secretly admiring for weeks. He was leaning against the brick wall of the bookstore, his dark hair tousled by the gentle evening breeze, engrossed in a well-worn paperback. Penelope's steps faltered, her cheeks flushing with a mix of exertion and sudden nervousness. Benjamin looked up, his deep blue eyes meeting hers, and a warm smile spread across his face. "Cutting it close, aren't we?" he teased, his voice rich and melodious. Penelope felt her face grow even warmer. Yes, I suppose I am," she stammered, fumbling with her keys as she approached the store's entrance. "You're here early today." "I couldn't wait to dive back into this book," Benjamin replied, holding up his copy of Love in the Time of Cholera. "Garcia Marquez has a way of making you forget the world around you." Penelope's eyes lit up. "Oh, that's one of my favorites. The way he weaves together love and time is just magical." For a moment, they stood there, lost in each other's gaze, the busy street fading into the background. Then, reality came crashing back as Penelope's phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. I should get inside," she said reluctantly, breaking the spell. "My manager will be wondering where I am." Benjamin nodded, a hint of disappointment flickering across his features. "Of course, don't let me keep you. Maybe we can discuss the book sometime?" Penelope's heart skipped a beat. "I'd like that," she replied, a shy smile playing on her lips as she unlocked the door and slipped inside. As she settled behind the counter, Penelope couldn't shake the lingering warmth of their encounter. She had always been cautious with her heart, guarding it fiercely after a painful breakup in college. But there was something about Benjamin that made her want to lower her defenses, to take a chance on love once more. The evening wore on, customers coming and going, but Penelope's thoughts kept drifting back to Benjamin. She wondered about his life, his dreams, and whether he felt the same inexplicable pull towards her that she felt towards him. As she reorganized a display of new releases, she caught sight of him through the window, still engrossed in his book, occasionally glancing up as if hoping to catch her eye. Just as she was about to close up shop, the bell above the door chimed, and Benjamin walked in, a determined look on his face. "I hope I'm not too late," he said, approaching the counter. "I was wondering if you'd like to grab a coffee sometime, to discuss the book, of course," he added with a playful wink. Penelope's heart raced. This was it, the moment she had been both longing for and dreading. Taking a deep breath, she replied, "I'd love to. How about tomorrow afternoon?" Benjamin's face lit up with a brilliant smile. "Perfect. I'll meet you here at 3?" As they exchanged numbers and said their goodbyes, Penelope felt a surge of excitement and trepidation. She was stepping into unknown territory, but something told her it would be worth the risk. The next day, Penelope found herself standing in front of her closet, scrutinizing every item of clothing she owned. She wanted to look effortlessly chic, but not like she was trying too hard. After what felt like hours, she settled on a flowy sundress with a delicate floral print and a pair of comfortable sandals. As she applied a light touch of makeup, she couldn't help but wonder if she was making a mistake. What if Benjamin turned out to be different from the person she had imagined? What if she was setting herself up for disappointment? Pushing her doubts aside, Penelope made her way to the bookstore. As she approached, she saw Benjamin waiting outside, looking even more handsome than she remembered. He was wearing a crisp white shirt and dark jeans, his hair slightly damp as if he had just showered. When he saw her, his face broke into a wide grin. "You look beautiful," he said, his eyes twinkling. Penelope felt her cheeks flush. "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself." They walked to a nearby cafe, their conversation flowing easily as they discussed their favorite books, their dreams, and their lives in the city. Penelope learned that Benjamin was a freelance journalist, working on a series of articles about urban renewal and community development. His passion for social justice and storytelling was evident in the way he spoke, his hands gesturing animatedly as he described his latest project. As they sipped their coffees, Penelope found herself opening up about her own aspirations. She told Benjamin about her master's thesis on contemporary literature and her secret dream of becoming a novelist. It was something she had never shared with anyone before, but there was something about Benjamin that made her feel safe, understood. "I think that's amazing," Benjamin said, leaning forward. "What kind of stories do you want to tell?" Penelope hesitated for a moment before answering. "I want to write about love, but not in the way it's usually portrayed. I want to explore the complexities of human relationships, the way love can transform us, challenge us, and sometimes break us, but also how it can heal us and make us whole again." Benjamin's eyes softened. "That sounds beautiful, Penelope. I'd love to read your work someday." As the afternoon wore on, they decided to take a walk in the nearby park. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the trees and pathways. They strolled side by side, their hands occasionally brushing against each other, sending shivers down Penelope's spine. "Can I ask you something?" Benjamin said, breaking a comfortable silence. Penelope nodded, her heart rate quickening. "Why did you always seem so nervous around me at the bookstore? I've wanted to talk to you for weeks, but I was afraid I was making you uncomfortable." Penelope laughed softly, relief washing over her. "I thought I was being subtle. The truth is, I've had a crush on you since the first time you walked into the store. But I've been hurt before, and I was scared to put myself out there again." Benjamin stopped walking and turned to face her. "I understand that feeling all too well. My last relationship ended badly, and I've been hesitant to open my heart again. But there's something about you, Penelope. Something that makes me want to take that risk." Their eyes met, and Penelope felt as if the world around them had faded away. Slowly, Benjamin leaned in, his hand gently cupping her cheek. Their lips met in a soft, tender kiss that sent sparks flying through Penelope's body. When they pulled apart, both were slightly breathless, their faces flushed with excitement and emotion. "I'm glad we finally took this step," Benjamin whispered, his forehead resting against hers. Penelope smiled, her heart full of hope and possibility. "Me too." As they continued their walk, hand in hand this time, Penelope couldn't help but feel that this was the beginning of something extraordinary. She knew there would be challenges ahead, fears to overcome, and wounds to heal. But for the first time in a long time, she was ready to embrace the unknown, to let love guide her towards a future filled with promise and adventure. Over the next few weeks, Penelope and Benjamin's relationship blossomed like a delicate flower, reaching towards the sun. They spent every spare moment together, exploring hidden corners of the city, sharing their favorite books, and talking for hours about their hopes and dreams. Penelope found herself falling deeper in love with Benjamin's kind heart, quick wit, and unwavering support for her ambitions. One evening, as they sat on the roof of Benjamin's apartment building, watching the city lights twinkle below, Penelope gathered the courage to share some of her writing with him. With trembling hands, she passed him a worn notebook filled with short stories and fragments of her novel in progress. Benjamin read in silence, his brow furrowed in concentration. Penelope's heart raced as she waited for his reaction, fear and anticipation battling within her. Finally, he looked up, his eyes shining with emotion. "Penelope, this is incredible," he said, his voice filled with awe. "Your words, they're like poetry. The way you capture the essence of human emotions, it's unlike anything I've ever read." Tears of joy and relief welled up in Penelope's eyes. "You really think so?" Benjamin pulled her close, kissing her forehead gently. "I know so. You have a gift, Penelope. Promise me you'll never give up on your dream." In that moment, Penelope felt a surge of confidence and determination. With Benjamin by her side, she felt invincible, capable of conquering any obstacle that stood in her way. As summer turned to fall, Penelope and Benjamin's relationship continued to deepen. They faced challenges together, from Penelope's stress over her thesis deadline to Benjamin's struggle with a particularly demanding assignment. Through it all, they supported each other, their love growing stronger with each passing day. One crisp autumn afternoon, Benjamin surprised Penelope with a picnic in the park where they had shared their first kiss. As they sat on a blanket beneath a canopy of golden leaves, Benjamin reached into the picnic basket and pulled out a small wrapped package. "I have something for you," he said, a nervous smile playing on his lips. Penelope unwrapped the gift carefully, gasping when she saw what was inside. It was a beautiful leather-bound journal, her name embossed in gold on the cover. "Open it," Benjamin urged gently. As Penelope flipped through the pages, she realized they weren't blank. Benjamin had filled the first few pages with words of encouragement, quotes from her favorite authors, and his own heartfelt messages of love and support. On the last written page, Benjamin had penned a note. "Dearest Penelope, in these pages I hope you'll write the stories that will change the world. Your voice deserves to be heard, your talent celebrated. I believe in you with all my heart, and I promise to stand by your side as you chase your dreams. You've shown me what true love looks like, and I fall more in love with you every day. Forever yours, Benjamin." Tears streamed down Penelope's face as she looked up at Benjamin, her heart overflowing with love and gratitude. "This is the most beautiful gift anyone has ever given me," she whispered. Benjamin took her hands in his eyes serious and full of emotion. "Penelope, these past few months have been the happiest of my life. You've awakened parts of me I thought were long dormant, and you've inspired me to be a better man, a better writer, a better human being. I know we haven't been together long, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life." Penelope's breath caught in her throat as Benjamin reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Opening it to reveal a delicate ring with a single, sparkling diamond, he continued, "Penelope, will you marry me? Will you embark on this grand adventure of life with me, writing our love story together page by page, day by day?" Time seemed to stand still as Penelope gazed into Benjamin's eyes, seeing her future reflected in their depths. All her fears and doubts melted away, replaced by an overwhelming certainty that this was right, that this was where she belonged. "Yes," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, Benjamin, I will marry you." As Benjamin slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a passionate kiss, Penelope felt as if her heart might burst with joy. She knew that life wouldn't always be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles to overcome. But with Benjamin by her side, she felt ready to face anything that came their way. In the days and weeks that followed, Penelope and Benjamin threw themselves into planning their future together. They decided on a small, intimate wedding in the spring, surrounded by their closest friends and family. Penelope continued to work on her thesis, now with renewed vigor, inspired by Benjamin's unwavering belief in her abilities. As they lay in bed one night, discussing their dreams for the future, Penelope suddenly sat up, struck by an idea. "Benjamin," she said, her eyes shining with excitement, "I know what I want to write about for my first novel." Benjamin propped himself up on his elbow, intrigued. "Tell me," he urged. "I want to write our story," Penelope explained, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Not exactly as it happened, of course, but a fictionalized version. A story about two people who find each other against all odds, who learn to trust and love again despite their past hurts. A story about the transformative power of love and the courage it takes to pursue your dreams." Benjamin's face lit up with a brilliant smile. "That sounds perfect, my love, and I have no doubt it will be a bestseller." As they drifted off to sleep that night, wrapped in each other's arms, Penelope felt a sense of peace and purpose wash over her. She knew that with Benjamin by her side, supporting her dreams and loving her unconditionally, she could accomplish anything she set her mind to. The next morning, Penelope woke early, inspired and eager to begin writing. She made her way to the small desk in the corner of their bedroom, opened the leather-bound journal Benjamin had given her, and began to write. In a world where love often seemed like a distant dream, two souls found each other in the most unexpected of places. This is their story, a tale of hope, healing, and the enduring power of love. As the words flowed from her pen, Penelope felt a sense of rightness, as if all the pieces of her life were finally falling into place. She glanced over at Benjamin, still sleeping peacefully, and smiled. Their journey together was just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead them. In the months that followed, Penelope threw herself into her writing with a passion she had never known before. Her thesis was completed and submitted ahead of schedule, earning her high praise from her professors. But it was her novel that truly consumed her, the story of her and Benjamin's love pouring out onto the pages in a torrent of emotion and creativity. Benjamin, true to his word, supported her every step of the way. He read each chapter as she finished it, offering encouragement and constructive feedback. On the days when self-doubt crept in and Penelope felt like giving up, Benjamin was there to remind her of her talent and the importance of her voice. As their wedding day approached, Penelope found herself juggling wedding preparations with her writing, often working late into the night to meet her self-imposed deadlines. Benjamin worried that she was pushing herself too hard, but Penelope assured him that she had never felt more alive, more purposeful. The day before their wedding, Penelope typed the final words of her manuscript. As she sat back, exhausted but exhilarated, Benjamin came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her shoulders. "You did it," he whispered, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "I'm so proud of you." Penelope leaned back into his embrace, tears of joy and relief streaming down her face. "We did it," she corrected him. "I couldn't have done this without you, Benjamin." The next day, surrounded by their loved ones in a small, flower-filled garden, Penelope and Benjamin exchanged vows, promising to love, support, and inspire each other for the rest of their lives. As they sealed their union with a kiss, Penelope felt as if her heart might burst with happiness. At the reception, Benjamin surprised Penelope with yet another gift. He had compiled all of her short stories, along with the first chapter of her novel, into a beautifully bound book. On the cover, in elegant script, was the title, "Love's Transformative Power, The Collected Works of Penelope." "I had a few copies printed," Benjamin explained, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "I sent one to a literary agent I know," Benjamin continued, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "She was impressed, Penelope. She wants to meet with you next week to discuss representation." Penelope's eyes widened in disbelief. "Are you serious? Benjamin, that's incredible!" She threw her arms around him, laughing and crying at the same time. Their wedding guests looked on, smiling at the couple's obvious joy. As they swayed together on the dance floor later that evening, Penelope felt as if she were floating on air. "I can't believe this is real," she whispered against Benjamin's chest. "Marrying you, finishing my novel, and now this opportunity. It's like a dream." Benjamin pulled back slightly to look into her eyes. "It's real, my love, and you deserve every bit of happiness and success coming your way. Your talent is extraordinary, and I'm honored to be by your side as you share it with the world." The weeks following their wedding were a whirlwind of activity. Penelope met with the literary agent, who was even more impressed after reading the full manuscript. A bidding war ensued between publishing houses, and before she knew it, Penelope had signed a 3-book deal with a major publisher. As her debut novel hit the shelves, Penelope found herself thrust into the spotlight. Book signings, interviews, and literary events filled her calendar. Through it all, Benjamin remained her rock, her biggest supporter, and her source of calm in the storm of sudden fame. 1 year after their wedding, Penelope's novel topped the New York Times bestseller list. That same week, she discovered she was pregnant with their first child. As she shared the news with Benjamin, both of them crying tears of joy, Penelope marveled at how much her life had changed in such a short time. "You know," she said, curling up next to Benjamin on their couch, her hand resting on her still flat stomach, "I used to think that love stories like ours only existed in books. I never imagined I'd be living one." Benjamin kissed her forehead gently. "The best stories are the ones we live, my love, and ours is just beginning." As the years passed, Penelope and Benjamin's love only grew stronger. They welcomed 2 children into the world, a daughter and a son, who filled their home with laughter and inspiration. Penelope continued to write, each of her books touching readers' hearts and topping bestseller lists. Benjamin's journalism career flourished as well, his articles on social justice and community development earning him several prestigious awards. They faced challenges, of course. There were sleepless nights with colicky babies, disagreements over parenting styles, and moments of self-doubt as they balanced their careers with family life. But through it all, they remained each other's biggest supporters, their love a constant source of strength and comfort. On their 10th wedding anniversary, Benjamin surprised Penelope with a trip back to the city where they first met. As they walked hand in hand past the old bookstore where their eyes first locked, Penelope felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her. "Can you believe it's been 10 years?" she asked, squeezing Benjamin's hand. He pulled her close, kissing her softly. "In some ways, it feels like just yesterday. In others, it's as if I've loved you for a lifetime." That evening, as they sat on the rooftop of their old apartment building, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, Penelope pulled out a small, wrapped package. "I have something for you," she said, echoing Benjamin's words from that day in the park so many years ago. Benjamin unwrapped the gift to find a leather-bound book. Opening it, he realized it was a handwritten copy of Penelope's next novel, not yet released to the public. "It's dedicated to you," Penelope said softly. "To us. It's the story of our love, Benjamin. The real story with all its ups and downs, its moments of doubt and triumph. Because you were right all those years ago. The best stories are the ones we live." Benjamin's eyes filled with tears as he read the dedication. "To Benjamin, my love, my rock, my inspiration. Thank you for showing me that the greatest love stories aren't just found in books. They're written in the hearts of those brave enough to love deeply, honestly, and unconditionally. Our story is my favorite one of all." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Benjamin pulled Penelope into his arms, their lips meeting in a kiss that held all the passion, tenderness, and love of their years together. "I love you, Penelope," Benjamin whispered against her lips. "Thank you for choosing me, for building this beautiful life with me." Penelope smiled, her heart full to bursting. "I love you too, Benjamin, always and forever." As they made their way back to their hotel, hand in hand, Penelope reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. From two strangers in a bookstore to soulmates, parents, and partners in every sense of the word. Their love story wasn't perfect. It was real, with all the messiness and beauty that entailed. And that, Penelope realized, made it more magical than any fairy tale. In that moment, surrounded by the twinkling lights of the city where their story began, Penelope knew with absolute certainty that she and Benjamin would continue writing their love story, day by day, year by year, for the rest of their lives. And she couldn't wait to see what the next chapter would bring.